What is going on, Florida State family, Seminole Nation, in the 863 tribe? Excuse me tonight if I have the sniffles, getting over a cold, so bear with me. But you are on 863 Seminole TV. It is, let me turn this down. It is college football playoffs. We got Tennessee, Ohio State. Texas and Clemson just finished as Texas is going to do their thing. I think they what? Arizona State. They'll see Arizona State next. SMU got dominated by Penn State. Indiana pretty much got dominated by Notre Dame. So hasn't really been a lot of compelling games, though I thought personally the Clemson and Texas game was actually pretty good for the most part. Yeah, man. And then, of course, the portal's continuing to portal, and FSU's continue to add additions to the portal. Some old linemen are coming. You've got a couple old linemen, D linemen. So we've got some stuff to talk about as far as portal additions go. Tight end. We added an addition to tight end room. Waiting to see what happens with Deuce. I think everybody's waiting on that big news. Are we going to land that? Are we going to lock that up? As he was visiting, I think, the last 2 days. So we'll see how that one finishes out. So we'll get everybody's thoughts on those portal additions and how that stuff's looking. Yes, sir. So, as always, y'all hit that like button, subscribe, share. Again, excuse the sniffles. I might have to blow my nose every now and then, but I'm going to be all right. I hope y'all are all right. And let's enjoy some playoff stuff. And let's chop it up, man. I haven't talked to y'all, since earlier this week. So, got a few things to talk about, man. So, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's having happy holidays. Christmas is now right around the corner. Not necessarily my favorite holiday, not one of the holidays that I particularly look forward to. I feel like Christmas is for children, but I just spend money, so that's probably why I don't. Thanksgiving is my holiday because I'm a fat boy at heart, so for me, it's all about Thanksgiving. But yeah. Let's do it. For all you, if there's any boxing fans in here, Usyk beats Fury again. I didn't watch the fight because I wasn't going to pay for it because I don't have the DAZN app and I don't want to go through all of that. But I did see that Usyk beat Fury. For anybody who cares about that. Jeff starting off with a good $5 donation. This $5 super chat. He says, "We'll feel better soon. Go Noles." Thank you for that, Jeff. I feel pretty good. I just got, when you're getting over it, you got all the sniffles and all that stuff. So I appreciate that. As always, my man, Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
Grillmaster says, "I don't know why we don't just make Thanksgiving food for Christmas too." I mean, in a lot of ways, it kind of is the same. In a lot of ways, it is. Yes, because Thanksgiving is, again, the holiday for me. And no, I don't care about the history of Thanksgiving. I'm not going down that route. I care about Thanksgiving because I eat a lot. By the way, grab you an adult beverage if you don't have one already, if that's your choice. Tonight we are sponsored by Appleton Jamaican Rum. Some good stuff. Straight from the island. Wagwan. So let's get it chopping. So before the game starts, let's just get into some of these portal editions, man. So we FSU's been landing some guys. So they did just get a commit from a 2026 offensive tackle, Xavier Payne. According to Zach Blostein, 247. You guys all should know Zach, as he pretty much covers recruiting for 247. 6'7" offensive tackle Xavier Payne. Let's check out his profile real quick. He's not ranked, by the way. He's an Orlando, Florida native. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and share the screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I don't know if he's not ranked because of whatever reason. It is a guy for next year, so maybe he's just hasn't been evaluated properly. He's listed at 6'7", 290 pounds. Orlando, Florida, Jones High School. Again, you can see unranked across the board. If we look at his offer list, Florida did offer. Florida Atlantic, FIU, Arkansas. So we got a couple SEC schools there that have offered him. Let's just go to the whole list. Decent offer sheet. I don't know if you guys can see. Yes, you guys can see. So let's go back. So again, Arkansas. So as far as the big name schools, right? Arkansas, Florida, Florida State, Miami, Ole Miss, Penn State, Cuse, Tennessee. So solid offer sheet, as you can see here. So we got some SEC schools interested in him, obviously. I assume he will eventually have some type of ranking on the 247. I don't know if he has anything on 3, though I guess I can briefly look here because why not? Xavier Payne on 3. Let's see what on 3 has for him. They also have him unranked. So again, the young man who either has not been evaluated this early in the process. On 3 actually says he's 275, not 290. So, the recruiting, depending on what site you look at, they always have different measurables and all that stuff. But he's also not ranked on Rivals, ESPN, 247, or on 3. So take that for what it's worth. We'll see what he ends up being when it's all said and done. Also, so that's the most recent commit FSU, and again, that is a 2026 high school player. So it's not a portal guy. And kickoff is about to start, by the way. But FSU has received portal commitments from Deontay McCray from Western Kentucky. Polarizing commit there. Some people aren't very excited or happy with that one. They, my guess is because he is played at Western Kentucky. But gotta love his size. I mean, you're talking about 6'4", 280-pound guy, a guy that plays in that 3-man front. So he's not a guy that has to necessarily learn his role. He's going to know exactly how to play. I personally like the take. I don't necessarily care about the sack numbers because I don't believe that will be his role. Obviously, that wasn't his role at Western Kentucky. I don't believe that to be his role here. Looking at a guy to set the edge, contain runs, those type of things. And his measurables fit that bill. So, in my opinion, good take. I'm interested to see what everybody thinks about Deontay McCray. Because social media, they all have different opinions. Randy Pittman, a guy that FSU recruited out of high school. I believe he was actually committed to Florida State at one point. Went to UCF. He is now transferred to Florida State. He has 2 years of eligibility left. I believe McCray has 2 years of eligibility as well. They did a pretty good job, in my opinion, with kind of filling out the tight end room with the addition of Pittman. Obviously, you got Landon Thomas. You're moving Williams back to the defensive end spot, according to what we've heard thus far. You bring in Biscuit. Again, probably a low low risk, not a cheap option, but a guy that's familiar with obviously being at Florida State, and is a body. So you bring in Marcus and Douglas, Biscuit, you bring in Pittman, you already have Landon Thomas. So your room kind of full, and obviously you're bringing in Chase Lofton. And so you have gotten rid of the guys that really were. And I think somebody can remember, I think Morlock is still on the roster. I thought his eligibility was gone, but I'm hearing things that it's not. So I don't know if Morlock is declaring for the draft or what that is. I think as of right now, he's still on the roster. But your tight end room, I think, has filled out fairly decently. It couldn't be worse than it was last year. I mean, there's a reason why we had to play two true freshman tight ends last year, because Jackson West and Brian Courtney and all these other guys even Morlock. You couldn't. They were so bad. You like literally couldn't play them. Like they literally couldn't play for you. I believe now you've kind of turned that room over. I think. I expect obviously Landon Thomas to get a year better. Pittman has plenty of production while being at UCF, and while Marcus and Douglas isn't the most productive player, he's a body with experience. He does have good hands. We've seen him be able to. For his size, he moves very well. For his size, you would expect him to be a better blocker. Biscuit is not the best blocker. So it'd be interesting to see exactly what is going to be his new role as he comes back. But you also got to commit from offensive guard Adrian Medley from UCF. Big pickup there as FSU looks to revamp the entirety of the offensive line. And he's been in college for 7 years, which I didn't realize. So he's going to be in his 7th year of college. Hey, you got a grown man on the O-line. Graded fairly well across the board to average to above average in most of his grades. So, I mean, that's better than anything FSU was throwing out there last year. So I think Medley is a good pickup. Still waiting on Deuce to see what happens with Deuce. And I believe those are all the pickups. Am I missing any? Excuse me. I mean, since the last time we talked, we did pick up James. Obviously, I always expected James Williams to follow Terrence Knighton over to FSU. So we did eventually get that commit, which was a big pickup. Patrick Payton has hit the portal since the last time we talked, and he went to LSU. So good luck to him at LSU. We'll see how that plays out for him. Pat has decided to leave Florida State and go to LSU. And I think that is about all that has happened. And then I think we already talked about Gunnar Hansen the last time we talked. But that is another guy that we got from Vanderbilt, another offensive lineman, offensive tackle. So those are all of the pickups from the portal that we've gotten thus far. Again, thoughts on that stuff, feel free. ACC slander. I mean, ACC didn't have great showings, if we're being honest. I actually thought Penn State played – not Penn State, I'm sorry. I thought MSMU defensively, I thought they played a decent game. But when your quarterback's throwing, 3 interceptions, 2 pick sixes, SMU they put themselves in a hole and they simply were never able to recover. As far as Clemson goes, they had a couple moments. They couldn't stop the run. Texas just almost ran for like 300 yards on them. Texas just ran down their throat. And in critical situations, man, the Texas O-line was absolutely beastly. And Clemson couldn't block them on some critical plays down the stretch for Clemson where they could have used a touchdown and all these things. So, yep. ACC slander incoming. But, I mean, it is what it is. Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith just scored the first touchdown of the game. Jeremiah Smith's a monster. Number 4, touchdown. Ohio State goes up 7-0. Jeremiah Smith's one of the best young receivers I've seen in a long, long time, my friends. Big time, man. Big time. Briley says, I replaced the turkey for a standing rib roast, but other than that, we run Thanksgiving sides back for Christmas. Briley also says, I'm rooting for OSU to lose, Ryan Day firing, and mass exodus from the Buckeyes to the portal. That would be great. I don't know. Not starting off that way is, again, Jeremiah Smith just gets a touchdown on the first drive of the game. Brandon says he don't give two F's about Pat after he was allergic to playing defense this year. You know, I think Pat, I've said this all year, not trying to excuse his play. I think the man was not used properly. I'm not saying he's going to go to LSU and be like a 10-sack guy, but he'll be playing around comparable talent on their defensive line. I think Pat will have a bounce back year, and I just don't believe he was used properly this past year. And he was a bit exposed, not playing alongside. Essentially, we're two NFL Pro Bowl caliber players in Fisk and Verse. I mean, that's literally what he played. What he played beside, and kind of showed that he was more of a product of other guys than maybe a product of himself. It's wild that Atkins had basically 0 tackles developed. There's a lot of things wild about the offensive line. Specifically the fact that everybody from Alex Atkins' vaunted class, everybody except Jalen Early is gone from that class. Armella's at UCLA now. Other guys have already left. Like you literally, out of the 6 guys you recruited on the O-line that year, you got nothing. You literally have nothing for it, with the exception of hopefully you get something out of like Early. Like, where does Early stand on this O-line next year? Is he a starter, a rotation piece? They're moving him inside. I have no idea. I think we all wanted to like Alex Atkins, man. I think our O-line was so bad when he took over that the fact that we were getting competent O-line play made a lot of us maybe value him more than probably we should have. But then you go back and you peel it back, you peel the layers, and you actually look at what happened on the O-line. It's disgusting that he was here for 5 years and the O-line, nothing he recruited ever materialized into anything. I think that says a lot. A guy that we thought was a bright spot, maybe had a bright future. When you really look back and peel it back, you go, wow, what did he really do in all seriousness? LSU got Pat and Destin Kelly on his way out next year. Yeah. We'll see how all of that works out for those two. Still don't quite understand the Dustin Hill thing. So 7-0. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and but it is 7-0 Ohio State already. And again, Jeremiah Smith has already made his presence felt. So let's talk about. I kind of want to talk about a couple of these new guys, new additions. Of course, again, we're still all kind of waiting for the Deuce Robinson news. Maybe that's tonight, maybe not. FSU's also getting a crystal ball for another offensive tackle, Micah Pettis, sorry. I believe he's transferring from Ole Miss, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, the offensive line revamp is in the works. For sure. The O-line revamp is flat out in the works. If we land another offensive tackle, then I think you got your 2 tackles booked up. as Lucas Simmons, a guy that I think we want to be good, that we hope can be good, and hasn't hit the portal yet. Not sure if he will or not, but you get these two tackles, 6'7", 6'8", like, okay, those are now we got legit tackles. and Lucas Simmons, as we know he was a year behind on his development due to injury. Now maybe we can get him up to speed. Because without that, I have no idea. Like, I don't know about you guys. I don't have a clue, like, who's even playing on this O-line next year. So it's going to be very interesting to see just what that O-line looks like next year. The defensive side of the ball is where I am. I'm actually pretty with some of the additions, and I think there might be some more additions to be had on that defensive side of the ball, specifically that front seven. I think it's shaping up fairly nicely as you look to kind of – you're going to have to retool the playing type, the personnel. There's rumors by again 247. I don't want to call it. I don't know if it's necessarily a rumor, but kind of hints that maybe Joshua Farmer might return. We'll see how that plays out. Obviously, Daryl Jackson decided to come back, and so I think they'll continue to try to build out that defensive side of the ball because they're going to have to, because it's going to be very interesting to see. Like, we think Daryl Jackson in the middle, the McCray kid, kind of like your 5 tech, and then you got James Williams at one of the ends, and then who's standing up out there. That's going to be interesting. I don't know who's playing one of the 3 linebacker positions that I'm sure one of those 3 positions will be like a rush end. I'm not sure who they put there. Maybe they stand James Williams up. I was watching some of the stuff he did at Nebraska. It seemed like he did plenty of standing up at Nebraska. I think a guy like Daniel Lyons can fit that 3-man front as another 5 tech if you want to move him over there. Obviously, we got some bigger defensive tackles now with Wynn. We'll see how Denaz White grows. Does Jamori Flagg have a future on that defensive line? Guys like that, it's going to be interesting to see their continued growth. But they may also look to just add more experience and more production across the D-line. Hank says, let's talk about the Florida State Knights. I mean, that's kind of what it's looking like on that offensive side of the ball, man. Coaching staff, players, we're just taking all of UCF's players and interesting strategy. I'm not going to sit here and shit on it. But, yeah, give me 1 second, guys. All right, I'm back. Oh, boy. Hopefully Manasseh can get – I think there are some young guys, Grillmaster. You bring up Manasseh. Jonathan Daniels, I think, is a guy that can be an athletic guard for them. I think there are some young, talented offensive linemen, in my opinion. But I just think they all need time. Like, I don't think any of those guys are ready to produce for you next year, which is why I'm 100% okay with like this entire retooling of the offensive line. Because frankly, you can't name an offensive lineman that you would put. Like, can anybody name an offensive lineman that you would trust next year to be in the starting rotation or starting group that's currently on the roster, not transfer guys? You can't name one. You can't. Like, we watch Otto Porter. There's Jeremiah Smith again, folks. I think Ohio State might blow Tennessee out. We watch Otto. Otto might have a bright future too. Like, Otto is a player with a bright future potentially. But we watched him kind of get manhandled as a freshman, as a redshirt freshman. Not ready. Jonathan Daniels, again, I bring him up. I think he has potential, but he's a 280-pound guy. At least that's what he's listed at, or was listed at coming out of like high school. You got Manasseh. You think he's ready? Probably not. Lucas Simmons, another young player that you want. Is he ready? Probably. So you don't have any player, and then that includes the freshmen that you brought in, the Mario Nashes, and none of these guys are going to contribute for you next year. You need to go out there and get as many able playing bodies, able ready bodies to play for you. So do I think there's some young guys that you would like to? Yeah, man, Ohio State's going to get – this game is about to be I don't know, man. This game might not be competitive as Ohio State's just going down the field. But back to the line. So there's just not O-linemen that I think anybody trusts to be ready. So I think you got to go out there and you got to get as many as you can, man. Mr. Wolf thinks we're definitely going to be better this year. The Tennessee O-line's huge. I've been in the middle with the Gus hire, but first thing I thought when it was announced was the guy has always had a better O-line than FSU minus 2013. Well, that Auburn O-line was actually pretty good too. They had a first-round tackle on that offensive line. I don't know if you guys remember. I actually forget his name, and I don't think he wasn't that good in the NFL, but he went first round if I'm not mistaken. They had a first-round left tackle on that Auburn O-line in 2013, but yeah, they're going to definitely focus on the O-line. What's the word on Lundy? I didn't know we were waiting on a word on Lundy. I thought Lundy was going to – see, again, I can't keep track of what's going on with a lot of these guys in the transfer portal because every time I think there's a guy that's ran out of eligibility, I find out he has more. Like, I thought Keziah Holmes was done. Apparently, he's got another year. So we got to wait and see what happens, like maybe with Keziah. Is Keziah in or out? Who knows? Every time I think a guy is pretty much out of eligibility, come to find out somehow he's got another year. So I don't know what the word is on Lundy. I didn't know we were waiting on a word from Lundy. So we'll see what happens with the DJ Lundy. I think we've seen the DJ Lundy experiment over and over. I've told people what DJ Lundy was from Jump Street. He's never really changed his game because I don't know if he's physically able to change his game. He was a very nice compliment at linebacker when you had two guys in Bethune and Deloach who could run. Lundy can't run. He's a one-trick pony. I don't know if he fits the defense. So we'll see what happens. FSU Tony says he likes the moves we're making. Do you guys like the moves? I mean, overall, how are you guys feeling about some of these moves? I'm pretty good. Like, I am not first of all, I've said it. I think FSU is going to have to win with the guys that they've recruited for the most part. So the guys that you're doing the only move that I haven't liked is the quarterback move. And yes, I agree. The quarterback fits what Gus is going to want to do. So from that standpoint, I understand the take. I just think they jumped the gun way too quick on quarterbacks and probably could have found another quarterback to fit the offensive well, maybe a better guy or, maybe not. That's the only move that I really haven't been a fan of. As far as everything else, like the Marcus and Douglas move was ho-hum to me, but I understood it because I feel like it was a cheap option in a room that you wanted to kind of reshuffle that room around. But I think for so far, everybody else that they've brought in, these are guys. I mean, the linebacker commit we got, I don't know. A good player when he's healthy, hasn't been healthy since really his Syracuse days. So I don't know if that's a guy that you're really counting on at linebacker. But what he is, he's a veteran backer. I think the focus has to be on like guys like Blake Nicholson. Maybe he teaches Blake Nicholson how to play the position. Like, so I'm okay with that. So it's like I'm okay with really most of these pickups outside of quarterback. That was just kind of lackluster to me. I think I don't know. They didn't do the proper evaluation of quarterbacks. They just kind of took the guy that everybody said they should take. So how y'all feeling about the moves? The way Chris Fowler's acting with excitement on this game, I wish he had the same on college football 25. Good job by staff for keeping the young guys together. And for the most part, to Sport Mark's point, we haven't really lost any young players that you go, oh, I mean, Dustin Hill, and I'll be honest with you, there's really not a name that would surprise me. You did lose Luke Cronin-Hope. I understand it from the standpoint, Luke didn't sign up to play with Gus Malzahn, so I get that. You lost Dustin Hill. Wouldn't call him a young player, obviously. That bothered me just because what went into him even getting to Florida State for you to leave the way you left. He even had some comments saying, about the support at LSU. Yeah, like, good luck to you. But I just feel like that's kind of like whatever. Outside of maybe those two, yeah, I don't think FSU's lost anything in the portal as far as young players goes that I think you're kind of like, oh, man, I wish we could have kept your young wide receiving core as thus far has stayed intact. None of your DBs have left so far. You're holding on to like the Blake Nicholsons of the world and things like that. So a lot of your more young, promising guys. You got D.D. Holmes. I talked about that defensive front and guys that may fit. I mean, I'm very interested to see what they do with a 6'6", 250-pound redshirt freshman in D.D. Holmes next year and where he fits on that defensive line. So they have been able to keep your running backs intact, obviously. Like, I'm glad you still got Mekhi Dancey. Your wide receivers. A lot of people want Jaylen Brown out. Me personally, I don't know why you would want a guy with that speed out, as he's still going to learn the position as well. So a lot of things as far as these young players go, I'm happy that FSU was able to – they have been able to hold on these young players as of now. Some of these teams in the playoffs are just built different. It's not hard to tell who's been recruiting at the top level. Well, Ohio State's looking like one of the best teams in the country right now, or at least in this game. 14-0 up on Tennessee. So far, these moves take you from 2 to 6 wins. Well, that's fair in a way, Hank. I mean, you won 2 games, so I can say addition by subtraction. If they didn't make any moves, they kind of probably win more than 2 games next year. But I can't judge the moves as of right now because we haven't seen any of this stuff in play yet. I don't know how they're going to use these guys on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know what the identity – I think I know what the identity of the offense is, but I'm not 100% sure what the identity of the offense is going to look like. So 2 to 6 wins, that doesn't excite me, and it shouldn't excite anybody, but I think it's way too early to say 6 wins. Again, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you that we're going to win 8 or 9 next year. But things have to click, right? And there's a clear vision of what they're looking for on really both sides of the ball, specifically offense, power run game, and look at the receivers they're targeting. Like okay, we got a small quarterback who likes to move outside the pocket and do things with his legs. Might not be the most accurate passer. So what's the remedy? A bunch of receivers over 6'4", huge wingspans. Just throw it up and let them go get it. If you get a Deuce Robinson, I think that's a big deal. And they've already gotten a bunch of other receivers. If you notice just what they're targeting, I don't know, man. Any updates? Nothing so far. Again, I know he visited the last 2 days, including today. He's getting a lot of, I think, from what I saw, he was supposed to visit Louisville after leaving FSU. The Louisville guys don't expect him to now make that trip. Could be a good sign. Could be a good sign. But any official updates, I haven't heard anything. The night's still young. It's only 7:30 Central Time, 8:30 Eastern Time. We may get an announcement while we're live on Deuce Robinson, or they may wait till tomorrow. Yeah, I've said my piece. I've said my piece on it. So I'll leave it with that, Ice Cold No. Dustin couldn't stay healthy here. Now he's going somewhere where the wide receiver room is going to be really crowded. That's true. 6 wins ain't excited at all. Sure isn't. I don't disagree with you. What was the point of expanding the playoff? Clearly, there aren't 12 teams capable of winning the chip. Well, I personally don't have a problem. I actually like the 12-team playoff, me personally. I think the problem I have isn't the 12 teams. My problem is the seeding. And I think they seeded this entire playoff terribly. Winning the conference should only get you in the playoff. Then you should seed based on the rankings. I mean, if we're going to have a ranking system, let's have a real ranking system that actually means something. Right? And that's not how the seeding took place. Like a lot of these teams got shafted that a team like Oregon, you look at their side of the bracket, like some of these teams got way easier route to the championship than others that maybe didn't deserve it, things of that nature. So I don't have a problem with the 12-team playoff. I have more problem with the seeding. And I have a problem with the narrative that continues to be spread in college football that wins don't matter anymore. That is the scariest part for me, is that we continue to try to devalue wins. And Kirk Herbstreit, who's the guy who I don't even give that much heat for last year, but he continues to act like he's not one pushing these narratives. If you didn't hear what he said about Indiana, and I'm saying to myself, okay, Indiana got beat. It happens. It's football. Teams get beat. Hell, when it was 14 playoffs, teams were still getting blown out in the 14 playoff. Blowouts are going to happen. Teams are going to lose. But to try to discredit Indiana as they didn't go 11-1 and earn a spot and try to say, well, one of these 3-loss SEC teams, why doesn't winning matter anymore? Why do pretty losses and overrated conferences matter more than actually winning football games? I will never understand. Tennessee was one of the best teams in the SEC. They're getting handed it to them right now by Ohio State. So what's going to be the excuse here? Because are we going to sit here and say Tennessee didn't belong? I guarantee you Kurt Herbstreit and company won't be saying that about the Tennessee Volunteers. So those are the conversations that I'm starting to hate. And, I mean, we saw it last year. So, it's all coming full circle. I mean, the way the games are looking, would they be wrong? Notre Dame is the only team that looks like they could compete with those teams. I thought, again, the matchups, man, I thought Clemson played well for the most part. I mean, Tennessee and Ohio State is supposed to be the premier matchup of the first round. And, again, this game isn't looking like it's going to be competitive at all. A whole bunch of football left to be played, but Ohio State's pretty much doing what they want to do. Exactly. That's what I was alluding to. The seeding is absolutely god awful. Oregon went the only team that went undefeated, and instead of getting rewarded for that, they got shafted. They're going to play Ohio State. So there's a lot of tweaking that the 12-team playoff needs. I personally like the 12-team playoff, and one of the reasons I love it, I don't know if you watched the Indiana and Notre Dame game. It wasn't competitive, but the atmosphere. I think it's very cool to have these home games in the month of December. I personally like it. One thing they do need to do, if you want people to be interested in the actual bowl games that's not affiliated with the playoff, they gotta do better with the bowl matchups. There's no reason why Miami, Colorado, Alabama didn't make bowls, and we're not getting a matchup of like, why are we not seeing Cam Ward versus Shadur Sanders? Ooh, bless me. Why are we not seeing Bama versus Colorado? Or like, I think they completely dropped the ball with the non-playoff bowls. Like, none of those bowls are intriguing. Nobody, Colorado and BYU, Miami and Iowa State, nobody wants to watch any of that. That's all garbage. That's all trash. You want to get people excited in the bowl season. You had Colorado, the Heisman winner, Travis Hunter. Let's go Colorado and Miami. I think did Cam Ward finish 3 in Heisman? Like, why are we not seeing that matchup of 2 NFL quarterbacks and the best player in college football? Why are we not seeing it? If we're not going to get that one, why are we not seeing the best player in college football and a first-round quarterback against an SEC traditional power in Alabama? Like, I think they dropped the ball with the non-playoff bowl games. Exactly. Conference winners shouldn't mean automatic top 4. No, they shouldn't. Slater went to Colorado. My opinion, when your conference, this is my opinion, when in your conference in matter, so how come the game against Texas and Clemson, why did Texas have a home game? I actually agree with that. I agree with that, Jeff. I don't understand why why did Texas have a home game as an at-large? Like, why was that a thing? So they have to tweak it. They have to tweak it for sure. I like the 12 team. I know a lot of people are like shitting on the 12 team. Not me though. I actually like the 12 team playoff. But I think they got to tweak it. The home playoff games are definitely the best part. They just have to tweak the matchups and conference championship seeding. Penn State and Texans are pretty much going to walk into the semis. Exactly. Florida playing a depleted Tulane, rosters embarrassing. Yeah, you got to give us stuff to watch. The bowl games are atrocious this year. That not including the playoffs, right? The bowl games are absolutely nasty. Nobody watching Colorado and BYU, bro. First of all, that's a Big 12 matchup. Why? I don't even understand why we got that matchup. Both of them play in the same conference. Why did we get Colorado and BYU? You had Colorado and Miami. I don't understand. If it's all about making the money and entertainment, I don't understand how you don't put Colorado and Miami on the field. Deion Sanders versus Miami. Like, I don't understand why that's not. There's so many storylines with that matchup. I don't know who sat in that room and made that decision, but they should be fired. They should 100% be fired. Yeah, man. Ohio State's about to go up 21-0. 21-0 Ohio State. What you're not going to hear is that Tennessee didn't belong. You know why? Because they're in the SEC. So you're not going to hear what you should hear, because they said it about SMU. They said it about IU. They said they're probably going to say it about Clemson. But look at this. Ohio State, this game isn't even competitive. Ohio State, Tennessee doesn't look like they belong on the same field as these boys. Ohio State is literally doing anything they want to do right now. The playoffs were fried when Boise State got a bye. Yeah, no, Clemson in Texas. I mean, Texas had a chance to kind of pull away, but Clemson kept that game interesting. I agree with that. But again, I don't think the ACC had a good showing, and they're going to make it known. But you're not going to hear that big ear, ball headed Paul Feinbaum get on ESPN tomorrow morning and say anything bad that Tennessee it's probably going to go like Tennessee they just ran into a team that was clicking on all cylinders, but they were one of the best SEC teams, and they deserve to be there. While at the same time saying that Bama or Ole Miss or South Carolina deserve. So again, the wins and losses don't matter because all of those teams lost 3 games. Tennessee only lost 2, but we're not going to hear that being down 21-0 in the first quarter at Ohio State. Like, that's crazy. But in my opinion, Tennessee deserved to be in the 12-team playoff. I think they did. Another $5 dono from Jeff. He says Notre Dame doesn't belong. Or Tennessee. I could have seen a lot of better matchup than that. I think Notre Dame has a pretty good football team, personally. The only thing that holds Notre Dame back is not being a conference. I think Notre Dame has a pretty good football team. I don't know if they'll win like the championship. And who do they play in the second round is a good question. I'm not a who because Penn State plays Boise. Ohio State's going to get Oregon. Notre Dame's going to play Georgia. Georgia's beatable, and Georgia doesn't have their quarterback. Go figure. I don't know how Georgia gets in the playoff and they lose their starting quarterback. Wasn't that the precedent that was set last year? I would love for the committee to answer that question too. Wasn't that the precedent that was set last year? If you lose your starting quarterback, you should be left out, even if you win your conference. Well, they're not the same team without the starting quarterback. Beck wasn't great anyway, but they're damn sure probably not the same team without Carson Beck. That was the precedent that got set last year. I just want to be clear on that. But of course, Georgia doesn't have to abide by that precedent that was set. Only Florida State does. Right? Okay. Thank you for that dono again, Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
Again, excuse all my sniffs, man. Trying to get this rum to knock this cold out. Tennessee's got the ball on the 3rd and 10. I'm telling you right now, man, Ohio State might be able to literally throw 40 up in the first half. They picked up the first down right there. Tennessee did. So the problem with the playoff is that the rankings don't matter in the playoff. They're seeding teams where they want to seed them. And there's no clear-cut criteria. You can say what you want, but there is no clear-cut rules because every year they change the rules. FSU was told they were left out because their starting quarterback got injured. Never before had it ever been said or executed that an injury stopped the team from advancing to BCS or whatever the case if they continued to win games. That's never happened before, but last year it did. Well, something just happened similar to Georgia. They still won the game, but no one took into account that Carson Beck. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. So that's the problem, man. I personally get rid of the committee. Make wins matter. Wins you don't need a committee. You just need the wins. The only thing, if you want to have a committee, only thing you need a committee for, maybe some of the at-large teams. But this whole Bama should be in. No, 3 losses, unless you win the conference, in my opinion, should automatically eliminate you from any championship talk. There's no playoff talk if you lose 3 games, unless you're at Clemson and you get into the championship of your conference and win. And then, obviously, you should definitely be a lower seed. You almost threw a pick. So no 3 teams should ever get considered. I don't care if it's what their name on the helmet is. That's first and foremost. And granted, they did kind of stick with that. No 3-team loss got in this year, other than Clemson, obviously, and Clemson won the conference. But again, then the seeding, their actual rankings have to matter. The teams that actually perform during the year, like Oregon, should be rewarded with their seeding in the playoff. And the teams that kind of snuck in, hey, you got to go through the gauntlet. That's what it's all about. That's what March Madness is all about. That's how you get 15 seed versus a 1 seed, and March Madness happens. So they've got to retool the playoff. But again, I still like the premise of the playoff. I still like having these home games during bowl season. I think that is electric. I would love to be in Tallahassee in late December one day. I think games like that will be immaculate. So that part of it I love. And again, I just think, especially in a year like this where I don't believe there's a clear-cut number 1 team in the country. I know Oregon ran the table, but Oregon doesn't look unbeatable. I think a year like this is a perfect year for a playoff in terms of every team looks beatable. But it's just the seedings, man. I think the seedings are absolutely trash. And then the narrative around the playoff of trying to discredit teams that earned their way into the playoff is disgusting, in my opinion. And of course, and then the inconsistencies of what actually are is the criteria for the playoff is, again, another one of my pet peeves. The ACC's performance this year is really going to make it hard in years to come. They will show no grace to this conference, other than the conference champion. Yeah, you're right, Antoine. Get rid of the committee. That they're corrupt anyway. Go back to the BCS formula for the playoffs. I trust the computer more than I can trust people. Hold on. Okay, I think I'm back. I think, the computer is more unbiased than obviously the committee has shown. Appreciate you again, Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
That's the rumor right now. He's being crystal balled. So we'll see how that one plays out. And again, we're still waiting to see if anything is going to happen as far as Deuce. Deuce is the big fish out there that we're still waiting to see if we can land that. Deuce. So we're definitely going to keep an eye out on that. Oh, yeah. Ohio State is really doing what they want to do so far. Again, not necessarily competitive right now in Columbus. Let's see what y'all got. But yeah, so I guess that's kind of my rant on the playoff. But again, I'm a fan of the college football playoff. I'm just not a fan of the way it's been executed so far. But they have time to continue to um, they have time to continue to revamp the playoff and get it right. But we have to stop the BS agendas. We have to stop the BS. And I get it, man. This partnership with the SEC, but that has to, like, at some point, I think that has to stop because it's becoming blatant at this point that they're not even trying to hide these things. So, and I will say this is something else that won't be said. Do you see Tennessee team that this is a Tennessee team that beat this Tennessee team beat Bama? I guarantee you nobody's going to say anything about that. They talk trash about Indiana and SMU, and again they'll probably talk trash about Clemson, but no one's going to bring up that this Tennessee team that's getting dog walked. They beat Alabama, the team that everybody says should have been in there. This is the team that beat Alabama. No one's going to mention that though. Watch. Ohio State has the ball to start the second quarter, by the way. So, again, they haven't been stopped so far. We'll see how it plays out. Rating of the pickups we have so far and what we still need. So, okay. Good question, Terrell. I like it. Rating. I don't know. What do you want me to rate this? 1 to 10, 1 to 5. Again, I like. So let's just go down the list. How about that? Let's just go down the list of guys. As a matter of fact, let me bring up the list. Transfer portal. Now I'm just going to bring up the list FSU has acquired thus far. I don't care about none of that. I will need a roll. No. Okay. So we're just going to go down the list of guys that we've picked up. We'll start with our quarterback, Thomas Castellanos, who was the first guy we picked up, the 5'9" quarterback from Boston College. I'm gonna give it I won't give it a number grade. I'll give it a letter grade. I will give Castellanos a C- for me. And the only reason I'm giving it a C and not a D or an F is because he does fit the offense, what the offense's identity is going to be. I'd be lying to you if I sat here and said he, one, isn't an upgrade, and two, doesn't fit, again, what a Gus Malzahn quarterback typically looks like. See if Ohio State can convert this third down. Will Howard just caught his own pass, but he wasn't able to get the first down. So I give that a C-. What say you? What do you guys think on that one? Again, I'll give that one a C-. Then the next one was Stephen Thompson. That's the linebacker who played at Cuse, then Nebraska. This one, it's hard for me to grade this one. He's not always healthy, but when he is healthy, he's actually a pretty productive player. He grades pretty highly as a player. I just don't think in Ohio State, that's Jeremiah Smith is a beast, guys. If you're not watching number 4 from Miami, Florida, you might want to turn on the TV right now. He might be the best football player on the field, and he was in high school this time last year, in all seriousness. He's an absolute monster. I'll give Stephen a C+. I don't think that he is gonna come in and be a full-time starter. At least history says he won't be, but I do think that's a guy that brings experience and can teach some of these young backers to take maybe the next step. Brings you depth, knows the defense, so he's gonna help guys like Blake and maybe a Juice Crier, help them with making calls. Like that part of it is a good addition. C+. Let me go to comments real quick before I continue. Actually, and I got a super chat that I need to hit up. Let me get the super chat out the way with my man Credible Detailing. Again, if y'all are in Orlando, Central Florida, go get your car detailed for my man Chris. He says, what up, Orlando on the check-in. As always, my boy Chris on the check-in. I get money.
I'm in Tallahassee, I'm with the Seminoles. I've been getting to this paper, focus on my goals. Trying to run this money up and pull up in a row.
That was the wrong one, Chris. My bad. Let's keep it moving to the next portal edition. So we're just going in order. James Williams. That's the big one. Okay, you're talking about a guy who by every metric is going to be exactly what you want / need, I believe, in this making the transition to this 3-3-5. Go check out how he played, pressure rates, all those things. Yeah, he's gonna 100% be instant impact guy. Not saying he's gonna have high sack numbers because I'm not even sure that the 3-3 does that for you, right? You might not have a guy have crazy sack numbers like that, but I mean James Williams, that's a legit pickup. You got to give that one like an A. That's the big one. That's the guy everybody expected to follow Coach Knighton over to FSU, and so I got to give that one an A. Personally, so Williams, A. Especially when you're going to lose a Marvin Jones and you're going to lose a Patrick Payton. There you go. Got to make sure you lock that up. Next is Gunnar Henson, the offensive tackle from Vanderbilt. That's another one, man. I don't want to overrate it but in a way, I kind of have to overrate this one because Gunnar is a tackle. When's the last time FSU actually had legit tackle? Not in Mike Norvell's tenure, we haven't. Unless you want to count Bless Harris, and for some reason we let him walk, where he was a Big 12 All-American, of course, because of course he was. Got to give this one oh, excuse me, I got to sneeze. Woo. I'm gonna give Gunnar Henson. I'm giving it a B+. I don't want to give it quite an A because I don't know if is he really that caliber of player? I'm not so sure. Is he better than everything you have? He absolutely is. And I believe he will definitely, and he's a legit offensive tackle and will legitimately be an upgrade over anything you've had in a long time at that spot. But I don't like James Williams, I think probably could be an NFL guy. I'm not so sure that Gunnar Henson is an NFL guy. He couldn't be. I'm not saying he's not. So that's why I'll give it a B+. Dante McCray, that's another B to me. I'll give that one a B, a solid B. He's getting A little bit of a downgrade only because it's Western Kentucky, but at the same time, he's coming from a 3.35. He was fairly productive in a 3.35. I know everybody just wants to look at sack numbers. You see DN and you look at sack numbers, and I don't know if that's how football's played. It's not just about that. He fits a need, body type, all those things. I think that's a solid addition. And he's going to take a step up in competition, but I think that's a solid addition. Then you got Marcus and Douglas. C. I won't give it anything less than a C. Probably a cheap option, and it's a body, but nothing that I'm going to sit here and rave about. Randy Pittman. That's a good addition. Ooh, is that a pick? Oh, Tennessee got lucky. Jeremiah almost had a crazy catch. Good defense. Let's check this replay real quick. So Jeremiah Smith almost comes up with a crazy touchdown catch because he's just that guy. Oh, and then the ball squeezes out of his hands. And 35. I don't think he picked it off. I think his feet are in the air when he secures the football. Man, I don't think that's a pick. Randy Pittman. I liked it. You're filling out. It's a lot of people. He has similar dimensions to Jaheim Bell. So FSU may use him in a very similar fashion. A guy who's played in Gus Malzahn's offense. So now we're talking about fit. He fits. He's going to know the offense. He's going to know how to play. That's a good pickup. That's probably another B+. Adrian Medley. Again, that's better than anything you've had on the offensive line. So I'm giving that a B. And then that's it, right? We haven't, I think Medley's the last one that, yeah. So as you see, I actually like a lot of the additions. I don't think that they've had too many bad ones. The two that kind of are just ho-hum to me are the quarterback and Marcus and Douglas. Hope that answered everything for you, Terrell. You want to add a 10, but I just had to give you grades, letter grades. Did they give him the interception? They gave it to him? I don't know about that, y'all. I thought he was out of bounds. I thought that toe looked like it was off the ground to me, but hey, what do I know? Quarterback C+, offensive line B, D line B. The offensive line can go up to B+, or depends on who else we can get the portal. Same as the defensive line. Jeff with another $10 dono, man. Jeff, you are killing it tonight. Appreciate all the love and support.
My name is Jeff.
Just for that, Jeff. I got to give you some more love.
Bitch, be humble. Bitch, sit down. Be humble.
So that's the other big thing, Vontae, that you bring up is the portal in the spring. Like, so this is the initial portal wave, but we also know that there's going to be that second portal window where guys may or may not get playing time. Once that spring comes around, people kind of know where they kind of lie on that depth chart. There'll be more additions. So ultimately, what you have so far, I don't think this team is really done. So yeah, for the most part, I do like most of, again, the additions. And then again, if you look at the guys that you've lost, you lost Lamont Green. I just don't know if Lamont was ever going to see the field, and then he doesn't fit. I mean, at a guy that's listed as 6'3", 230, right? He actually transferred to FIU. I think that's a good spot for Lamont Green. Probably can go down there and ball out. You lost Patrick Payton. You can count Patrick Payton as a legit. I'm on the record. I wanted to keep him. So for me, you can count him as a legit loss, though I understand that he did not play particularly well last year. I think a lot had to do with just maybe his motor, not playing around any other dominant defensive lineman, and then his usage I thought was not the best. Now we're just going to look at guys who transferred out. Deuce Spann, I mean, he went to Pitt. Good luck to Deuce. Yeah. Grady Kelly went to Michigan State. Good luck to you, my man. You won't be missed. Dustin Hill, you won't be missed. Don't understand why you hit the portal and didn't go to LSU of all places, but you won't be missed. Luke Croman-Hope, would have loved to keep you, but I understand you didn't sign up to play in a Gus Malzahn offense if you're trying to be an NFL quarterback. So it completely makes sense for me to why Luke Croman-Hope ended up leaving. Julian Armella, one of the biggest travesties in Mike Norvell's tenure as far as recruiting goes. I mean, that's, in my opinion, Armella is right up there with the Travis Hunters, the Keldrick Falks, the Boldens. Not because you missed them, but you got a player that was considered one of the better players in the country. You had one of the worst O-lines, and somehow this guy couldn't see the field. You couldn't get anything at it. So either Julian Armella was one of the most overrated prospects in a long time, or they failed him in every aspect. I hope he goes to UCLA and becomes an All-American. And that's it. That's everybody that's hit the portal as of right now. That's officially hit. As I look at the portal. So FSU hasn't really lost anything glaring, in my opinion, in the transfer portal. I mean, this portal is ridiculous. It stays open. It'll be open again in the spring. And then if a coach gets fired, of course, yeah. All right, let's see if Tennessee, again, I think the refs gave Tennessee, they said we got to make this game somewhat interesting. And let's see if Tennessee can do anything with it. I have a feeling they won't. What if we had a contract like the NFL when you have to NIL, you have to stay? So, in my opinion, what they have to do in the portal, you got to balance this stuff out. They got to bring the eligibility stuff back. I'm okay with one free transfer. You get one freebie. If a coach leaves, you get another freebie. So in theory, 2 free transfers, but the other one depending on, if your position coach takes a job or if a head coach gets fired. After that, they need to go back to the old system where you have to lose a year. Otherwise, I don't understand, and I'm not here to make excuses or to feel sorry for these coaches because they make an exorbitant amount of money and they are compensated for everything that they have to deal with. But you can't ask these coaches, man. And like I said, Tennessee wasn't going to do anything with it. They just threw a pick right back. You can't ask these coaches to be able to sustain rosters year in and year out in the current format. You can't. They have to change the transfer portal rules, I think, back to what they were. But I'm okay with one free transfer. I'm not okay with seeing the same. I'm not okay with Bear Alexander every single offseason. Man's gone from Georgia to USC. Now, I am not okay. Me personally, I'm not okay with that. I am not okay with Bear Alexander going to from East to West Coast. Like, that's crazy, man. Bear Alexander needs to have to pick a school and stay at that damn school. I'm just using him because he's like one of the more notable ones that in every offseason, this man's in the transfer portal. And at some point, I'm not even sure why, because it's not like he's producing at a crazy clip. Clayton, my man Clayton with the $20, $19.99. Shout out to my man Clayton. He says, what's up, Polk? Merry Christmas to you and your family. Same to you, brother. Appreciate what you do. Go Noles. Playoffs 2025. Hey, speak it into existence, Clayton. Speak it into existence.
Bitch, be humble. Bitch, sit down. Be humble.
If Micah Pittman for what? For I just want to ask you that. For anybody that wants Micah, and you're not the first person to ask this, Terrell. That's been a conversation. Oh, what happened? I thought Ohio State picked the ball off. Did they call a penalty or something? They bailing Tennessee out, man. Tennessee sucks, and they're bailing them out. Anyway, what is Micah Pittman going to do for you? In all serious question. Serious question. Micah Pittman comes back and does what for Florida State? What's up, Momo? No, Pittman can sell insurance with DJ. It's wrong. Yeah, no. I don't think Pittman does anything for you. I think the refs are trying. I think the refs got a call and said we cannot have an SEC team get embarrassed like this. That's legit what I think happened. I think the refs got a call, and because that wasn't an interception in the back of the end zone, and I think the refs got a call and said, "Hey man, we can't let Tennessee get embarrassed like this on national TV. That ruins all of our narratives that we've been trying to spew." He fits Gus' system, run blocker, just saying, or punt returner. Mm-hmm. Didn't we try him at punt return before and didn't look too great for us? I'm okay, bro. I'm not trying to circle back on a guy that didn't work. Just me. Kevin Coleman the same way, but the crazy thing is he's productive everywhere. That's true. He has been productive most places he's went. That's true. Hit the like button, y'all, as we sit here and watch this playoff game. And Tennessee might get 3 points on the board, but they were lucky to get the 3 as far as I'm concerned. What else? What else we got, guys? What other core questions do we have? Matter of fact, let's look at some options maybe that's still out there in the transfer portal. Obviously, we're talking about Deuce Robinson. Again, I think that's the big fish that FSU is trying to catch. That's the white whale. If the portal will load for me, I will start talking about it. But it's not loading. Okay, so we got some. We're just going to go top. So the top players in the portal and where they've landed so far. So John Mater, OU. Miami thought they were getting this guy. He goes to Oklahoma. Patrick Payton somehow is the second best player in the portal. That's fine. LSU. Eric Singleton, Auburn. Zachariah Branch, wide receiver out of USC. FSU, I believe, recruited him out of high school as well. He's out there. Hasn't announced anywhere yet. We'll see. Deuce Robinson, he's being crystal ball to Florida State. Let's hope FSU. He's the 5th best player in the transfer portal. Let's hope FSU can lock that one down. Who else is out here? You have a QB in Fernando Mendoza. It might not be a Gus Malzahn guy, but again, is that not a guy that maybe you could have targeted in a portal? Hey, KC Concepcion hasn't made a decision yet. Again, I'm just looking at guys in the portal that FSU might have some interest on or that is available. David Gusta out of Washington State. He's a defensive lineman, 6'3", 302. Considered a pretty good prospect. You got Justice Hayes out there as a running back. I don't think FSU needs a running back, so I don't expect them to look at running back. I think with Randy Pittman, you're not going to go after Max Clare, the tight end out of Purdue. You got Jonathan Cook. He's a wide receiver. Or Jonte Cook, wide receiver out of Texas. Doesn't seem like FSU's, again, you look at what FSU's targeting. They're targeting big body receivers. So if you look, there aren't a lot of big moves out there to kind of be made. As I'm just kind of going through some of these portal guys. You got Malachi Fields. He's a 6'4", 220-pound wide receiver. Maybe that's somebody Florida State might have some interest in. Maybe not. Marvin Jones Jr., of course, is still out there. I would like FSU to bring him back, man. I thought he was playing well by the end of the year. We'll see. James Thompson out of Wisconsin. He's a 6'5", 295-pound player. Maybe Florida State can give a guy like him a call. Aaron Nolan. I'd be more excited if we brought in Aaron Nolan than TC, but I get it. I get it. So we'll see, man. We'll see what happens with some of these players out here in the portal. What's up, Dupree? Are we getting Deuce? I feel pretty good about it. This load up on the trenches is getting as many quality players as you can on both sides of the ball. In the meantime, get Deuce Robinson, and if you need another receiver, get that too. LSU signs a lot. LSU is such an interesting team to me because they recruit actually pretty well. And they go to the transfer portal a lot. They've done it since Brian Kelly's been there. And yet the team constantly underachieves on the field, in my opinion. So, yeah, I don't know how much longer Brian Kelly's going to be there because they're giving him all the resources. He's recruiting high school fairly well, and he's going in the portal and getting most of the guys he wants. And yet the man, can't win the SEC, can't, loses games he shouldn't lose, can't beat Florida State, obviously. Ken says, I'm with you, Polk. Wish we could have gotten the QB at Liberty. Yes, he did. Patrick Payton decided to go to LSU. Yeah, he sure did. I keep refreshing the timeline, but again, I don't see any news dropping on Deuce. And again, it might not be announced till tomorrow. With the maybe with the playoff on FSU, or maybe Deuce just hasn't decided yet. I don't like that play call from Ohio State right there. Last year, they didn't sign a lot of top portal players, so they're spending this year. Kelly is an average coach to me. I probably agree with you, Hank. I don't think Kelly's I thought Kelly did a better job at Notre Dame, personally. I actually thought he was a pretty good coach at Notre Dame. I think coming to LSU, having the resources, he hasn't I don't think he's performed like I think they anticipated him. But I also believe coaching is all about fit, and I never thought he was a fit there. So in a lot of ways, it doesn't surprise me what's happening at LSU because I just never thought he was a fit there. And he was definitely a better fit in Notre Dame. Now Marcus Freeman is doing a great job at Notre Dame too. So I don't think Notre Dame is looking back, right? They're looking forward. I don't know what happens to a guy like Brian Kelly if he doesn't make it at LSU. He probably has to take a step back in the coaching tree. Maybe goes back to being an offensive coordinator, maybe head coach at a lower tier program. Brian Kelly made LSU soft. I actually agree with that. I just don't think the identity has fit. I really don't. But yeah, no update on Deuce, man. I know that's the big one. We all waiting to see what happens with the Deuce. But maybe we get that offensive tackle from Ole Miss as well, which, again, I'm all for revamping the entirety of the offensive line. What up, Almighty? Brian Kelly doesn't fit in the Southern teams. He fits better in Northern teams. Yeah. Nico just got smashed. I mean, Tennessee's getting out physical, out everything, out athleted. I mean, Ohio State looks bigger, faster, stronger. They execute better. You know, when you got a guy like number 4 on your team, I mean, it just looks different. I think he got the first, but it was close. Is Deuce making the announcement? I don't know if he's making an announcement. I don't know how it's going to work. You know, these transfer portal guys don't really make announcements. I mean, I know Keon did, but these guys usually just go on a visit, and the next thing you know, they're getting, you know, reports that a guy is signed. These guys don't normally make announcements, so I doubt he makes an announcement. I think you'll just get, you know, and the announcement will just be from, you know, a graphic or something, but not an actual announcement. Well, in my opinion, it looks like Indiana had a better showing than Tennessee's having. And everybody shit on Indiana last night. So, I mean, again, a lot of football left to play. Maybe Tennessee makes this thing respectable. Indiana looked better than Tennessee to me. That's just me, though. I'm just reading the timeline again, guys, seeing if anything's popped up, and it hasn't. Okay, what else we got? How my Knicks doing? You might want to pay attention, my man. How are the Knicks doing? Anybody that thought that Cat Williams trade was a bad trade for the Knicks, you know, I don't make this too much about. I mean, you see the Knicks back there. That's probably why you asked. You see the blanket back there. Anybody that thought the Cat Williams trade was a bad trade, you don't know ball. One, I was telling y'all I wanted to get Julius Randle for a long time, and you look at what's happened with the Knicks, man. The best offensive basketball team in the league that is the New York Knicks. That's not even my opinion. That is a fact. We got to work on the defense a little bit, but we've had guys injured. We're going to get that defense squared away because it's a Tom Thibodeau team. We just blew out Minnesota. I mean, come on, man. Cat is averaging like 25 and 15. The Knicks are the third best team in the East right now. Record-wise, I think we're the second best team in the East. Of course, Boston is still the team to beat. Indiana just didn't have the athletes to play with Notre Dame. If you want to keep it a buck, I think Indiana's a well-coached team. I don't think Notre Dame didn't do anything in that game, in my opinion. That like they didn't out-scheme Indiana. They didn't out-coach Indiana, in my opinion. I thought Notre Dame was just better athletically than Indiana, personally. What do you think about the massive tackle? If we get him, again, it's better than anything we got on the roster right now. So I'm 100% behind. 100% behind that addition. Again, get as many offensive linemen as possible. I still want to know who the hell's playing center for you next year. That's something that we're going to have to work out, is who's playing center. Outside of that, I like the way the O-line shaping up. Trade was a steal for Julius. Trade was a steal. Julius is slightly above me. The problem with Julius Randle, I actually think he's a good player. Julius Randle is a – listen to me when I say this. He's a dollar store version of Carmelo Anthony. He dribbles too much and is not as offensively efficient as Carmelo was in Carmelo's prime, obviously. He's a ball stopper who has to dribble the ball 35 times to get his shot. If you watch Cat play, Cat plays within the offensive system. He doesn't need to dribble the ball at all, first of all, to score. He can catch and shoot. He can put his back to the basket, maybe do one or two dribbles, turn around. Like, Cat doesn't have to dominate the ball to average 25 points a game. Julius does. That's the problem with Julius Randle. And he's not efficient. So if you need that high of a usage rate, yeah. We're going to have to judge the Knicks based on post. I mean, hey, postseason get here, we'll talk about it. I heard they made an offer to the TCU center. There are also some other prospects out there that made an offer too. Notre Dame was bigger, stronger, and faster, just like the IU coach said in this. Yeah, I mean, that's literally what that game came down to. Notre Dame was a more athletic football team. Notre Dame, you can tell, recruits at a higher clip than Indiana. Tennessee recruits at the same clip as Ohio State. They're just getting their shit pushed in. Look at this. Look. Ohio State is bullying an SEC team. Oh, my God. Don't let SEC fans hear you say that. Ohio State's flat out bullying an SEC team. I would love for them to win 10 games next year. Absolutely love it. It'll be a big offseason for his development. I don't expect him to play. But this will be the offseason that is he taking the right steps, or is it a guy that's going to hit the portal at the end of next year or whatever the case. But I agree with you that it's a big offseason. I wouldn't tell you that's an offseason that he's going to crack the starting rotation. I don't believe that. I don't believe that, Lewis. I need a basketball show also. Do I? People hate the Knicks. I don't know if people would actually tune in for me to watch it. Like, for a team that's been so bad for years, for some reason the Knicks are hated. And, like, we're never good. So when we finally get good, it's like everybody's just waiting on us to lose. The NBA is horrible. I enjoy the NBA, but I understand why people have that opinion, actually. Blame the players for that. Blame the players. I like basketball, so I can never say like the NBA is horrible. But I understand the best players in the NBA don't play enough. They don't put their all into it. There's a lot of reasons why you say the NBA is horrible. Yeah, the Bulls. All right, let's see what Tennessee does. I mean, if you can get a touchdown here at the end of the half, I don't know if they trying though. It makes it more of a game. I just don't know. Again, I don't know if I believe that Tennessee can make the comeback here. Do I enjoy college basketball? So I don't enjoy college. I enjoy the NBA more than college, personally. That's just me personally. I don't enjoy college basketball as much. I think college basketball is really fun when you have, and this is just me, teams that I kind of grew up like Raymond Felton's North Carolinas or some of Coach K's old Duke, like the old Kentucky teams. Like when you have notable teams, I think is when college basketball is kind of fun because there you can root for them or whatever the case or root against them. But overall, I'm just not as big on college ball. As maybe I should be. What's your opinion? Okay, Brandon. So I talked about it earlier, but I'll talk about it again. I think it's a good get. I know a lot of people are I guess, mad because the guy only has 2 sacks, but I think at some point we have to stop looking at numbers and understand fit. Understand what is he being asked to do? What are you bringing in him to do? Okay, right? Like you're not gonna bring in. I'm trying to think of an example, right? I'm not bringing in Jerome Bettis and getting mad that he's not breaking 90-yard touchdown runs, right? The bus isn't there for that. Not saying he can't do it, but that's not what I'm bringing him in for. Okay, that's a short yardage, grind it out. Everybody knows what the bus was, right? People are looking at this DN and like, oh, he only has 2 sacks. Well, that's not what he was asked to do. So at some point, we have to start understanding like the game. The more I listen to people talk about football, the more I realize that a lot of people they really just look at stats. A lot of people really just look at stats and they don't really understand fit, scheme, what guys are being asked to do, and things of that nature. So when you criticize this take, you have the right to, if you can point to some valid criticisms. But when your only criticism is, oh, he only had 2 sacks, I'm asked, well, what does that matter? What is he being asked? Is he being asked to rush? Is he a pass rusher? Oh, go figure. He's not a pass rusher. He's not being asked to rush the passer. He's 6'4", 280 pounds. What's he being asked to do? Well, go watch Western Kentucky and then tell me what he's being asked to do. I mean, good touchdown here by Tennessee at the end of the half, but Don't act like y'all are on the comeback. We'll see what happens. So a lot of criticisms over that take that I don't necessarily think are warranted or intelligent. Again, am I telling you that this guy is going to come in and be Keir Thomas? No, I wouldn't say so. But you never know. I know what he's going to be asked to do. And as long as he can do what he's going to be asked to do, which is contain, set the edge, it'll free up other guys then to do what they're asked to do, right? You do your job, then other guys get freed up to make the flashy plays. He wasn't brought in here to make flashy plays. He was brought in here to muddy the waters and and free up other guys to do what they need to do. If he blows this game, I don't know how Ryan Day doesn't get fired. If you want to be, if he blows a 21-0 lead at home, yeah, I don't know how Ryan Day survives not beating Michigan and blowing a 21-0 lead to Tennessee. Again, because people see DN and they go directly to sack numbers. People see DN and go directly to sacks. The same people that'll tell you that this is a bad take will tell you that Patrick Payton's a good take for LSU. I'm on board on both of them. I wanted FSU to keep Pat. I think Pat is a decent take for LSU if they can get him motivated and surround him with players that'll help him be successful. Some of these positions, it's like looking at a corner and going straight to interceptions and saying, if this guy has one interception, he's not a good corner. Well, that's actually he probably has one interception because they don't want to throw at him, right? So I think fans. I think a lot of fans need to understand the nuances of the game. This isn't quarterbacks. Quarterbacks, sure. Quarterbacks are a stat-driven position, right? Even running backs, the receivers, like those are the flat. But when you start talking about defensive linemen and even corners and safeties, like there's so much more that goes into how they affect the football game. I'm just looking at sack numbers to say who's a good football player. I'm probably short-sighted on that. That's just me, though. So he's going to be asked to play a different game than the traditional four-down defensive ends that we've seen in Florida State in the past. I'm not so sure FSU is going to have a single player with high sack numbers, because I'm not so sure that's how this defense is built. You might have a bunch of different players with 2 and 3 sacks, where in a traditional maybe 4-down lineman, maybe you have an elite pass rusher, he gets a bulk of it. Like, I think it'll be spread out. Guys having 2 to 3 to 4 sacks, but not necessarily a guy that's going to go out there and get you Jermaine or Jarrett Verse type numbers. Grandmaster, they're more the do your job position rather than steal the show. That's the thing, man. You need guys that's what the real successful teams do. You need guys that just do their job. And not only do they just do their job, but they enjoy just doing their job. That which frees other guys to make the flashy plays that everybody talks about. But you need guys that also just do their job. That's what he's being brought in to do. That's to my point, Clayton. That is what they're bringing him in there to do, right? We need multiple people on the D line. Get your sacks. 5 or 6 players with 5 or more sacks is cool with me. We need active players in the trenches. So, and again, if you go watch him, I think you're getting an active player, like you say. I think he had a block. He had a blocked kick, if I'm not mistaken, or block field goal in the bowl game. Like he played the bowl game, and I think he then committed to Florida State, like either after or before the bowl. I think it was after the bowl game or something, like soon after. So. There's also the Rice transfer O-line who we didn't talk about. Ethan, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name. But there's the Rice transfer. He's out there. He's a 6'6", 340-pound offensive lineman. Gave up just 1 sack and 294 snaps, pass blocking snaps. So we'll see if FSU can get one of these 2 tackles. So we've reached halftime. I don't think I'm going to stay on for the entire game. I don't want to stay on for 4 hours. But 21-10 at half, Ohio State. Ohio State came out like gangbusters, kind of cooled down there in that second quarter. I thought the refs played a part in some of that, which I thought was some calls that, you know. I think Deuce probably doesn't announce tonight from the way it looks. But we'll see. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with most of the additions that Florida State has added. And I look forward to see how they finish this team off and or how they finish the portal off and how it closes out. Interested to see who early enrolls and all that good stuff. And like, I mean, FSU's going to have to hit the ground running, literally and figuratively, because you got Bama week 1. And so you're going to have to hit the ground running. You're going to have to be ready to play football. And so they're going to have to get guys. And the guys that they're targeting, for the most part, I believe are guys that are going to play immediately for them. Last year, FSU took a bunch of potential, and we'll close it out on this topic. Last year, FSU took a bunch of potential in the transfer portal. Marvin Jones Jr. was never really productive, but he was a former 5-star, and it's a guy, again, that you took for his potential, also legacy. Same thing with a Terrence Ferguson, a Sean Murphy, a Jalen Brown. Everybody you almost took in the portal last year was a guy that had high grades coming out of high school, hadn't quite lived up to those grades yet, but you said, okay, they got potential. Well, they've kind of gone away with that this year. Everybody that they have now brought in, maybe with the exception of Biscuit, has had college-level production. Guys that have produced on the collegiate level. You're talking about starting offensive linemen at UCF and Vanderbilt. You're talking about a starting tight end at UCF. You're talking about, starting quarterback. You're talking about starting linebacker, starting defensive lineman. So everybody that they've targeted thus far are guys that have produced, played significant snaps. I guess you kind of like that recipe better than just you could recruit high school off of potential. I would argue maybe not so much the transfer portal off of potential. That doesn't mean that everybody that you get in the transfer portal has to be a major producer, because there's also examples of guys. I'm gonna blow my nose. There's also examples of guys like the Trey Bensons and the Johnny Wilsons who didn't produce, but they were fits, had great careers at Florida State. You got to get guys that fit your system, get what you want to fit your system, fit what you're trying to do. You got to evaluate those guys. And then also you got to target guys that have produced to some degree in your system. So far I think they've had a decent plan in the portal. I know every time a player hits the portal, Florida State fans want the guy. And because we don't get the guy that the fans think that we should get, because we don't get those guys, the fans think that we're not, properly attacking the portal the right way. But I think for the most part, FSU's attacking the portal in an effective manner. Man. As you can see, I am sniffing and sneezing all over the place. So I think I'm going to cut it. But I'll read a few more comments and I'm going to get up out of here. He hasn't picked a destination yet. So we'll see what happens with Marvin Jones Jr. I think it will behoove Marvin Jones Jr. to stay. But again, that's just me. I really didn't expect a top 20 class, including transfers, after last season. I will forgive Mike. I will never forgive Mike for DJU. Hopefully TC is better, but I'm not sure I have much faith in that. I think he'll be better than DJU just from the fact that he can actually run. And DJU ran like a one-legged, the three-legged giraffe, baby giraffe at that. But yeah, if TC gets hurt, then I don't know what you do after that. So you go with Trevor Jackson. I would love to see it. Brock Glenn's still on this team. But yeah, appreciate you. I'm gonna get on up out of here. Watch the second half of this bowl game, a playoff game, and see what happens with Ohio State and Tennessee, man. As always, man, it's your boy Polk over here on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles, and we are out here. Go Noles. Don't get sick like me, and we'll see, man. If Deuce Robinson announces tomorrow or whatever, commits tomorrow, I'll probably go live tomorrow just to cover that one and what he's bringing to the table and all those good things. And hey, man, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. 2024 is coming to a close. Hopefully 2025 is better for some. If you had a great 2024, may 2025 be just as good. Maybe a little bit premature on the Happy New Year talk, but it's coming. It's coming. Y'all have a great rest of y'all night. I'm out.